And as Ali radiallahu anhu, he used to come out in the last night of Ramadan. He would say in the last night, after Ramadan is over, he would say, يا ليت شعري من المقبول فنهنيه ومن المحروم فنعزيه. He would say, يا ليت شعري. يا ليت شعري is an expression when a person is wishing something that he cannot attain. Wishing, he said, I wish something that you cannot really get. Where is the maqbool? Where is the one that is accepted so that we can congratulate him? And where is the deprived so that we can condolence him? So knowing that at the end of the month, right, then makes it very important that we, before the month starts, that the person take the means to be among those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. Because if we know the rulings, if we know the rewards, if we know the level of Ramadan, and we see the actions of the Prophet ﷺ, such struggle with fasting and the night prayer and the Quran and the early generations of Islam, then we see laziness in our actions. The only reason for that is sins. Sins, the hearts attached to the hereafter, makes the person deprived from doing the good deeds in the most perfect way. So that's why before the month of Ramadan it's very important to be in state of repentance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we say state of repentance, some people think, well, I'm not on any major sins or anything of that nature. Such just for the fact that the hearts are attached to this world and the person is lazy in matters of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, comparing ourselves to the early generations of Islam, that leads for the believers to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with us. If we talk about the virtues of Ramadan and fasting, there are so many. We need a few months to talk about this, and the benefits of fasting and the virtues of the month of Ramadan, the month where the Quran was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, and that's the most significant thing about the month of Ramadan, why it's so virtuous. And also other books before the Quran was revealed, brought down in the month of Ramadan, as it's mentioned in some of the texts. The gates of Jannah are opened, as the Prophet ﷺ said, the gates of the hellfire are closed, and all of these has implications to it. And the shayateen, وَمَرَضَةُ الْجِنِّ, the feast of the jinn, they are chained in the month of Ramadan. That means no excuse whatsoever. The person is now being left to his own self. The struggle with the shaitan is so less. So now it's his own weakness and his own deficiencies and so on. There is a munadin or a caller in the beginning of the month. He would say, يَا بَاغِيَ الْخَيْرِ أَقْبِلْ وَيَا بَاغِيَ الشَّرِّ أَقْصِرْ. O seeker of the goodness, come. O seeker of evil, go away. And that means all means of doing good should be made easy for the person in the month of Ramadan. And in every night of Ramadan, not just at the end, not just in Laylatul Qadr, in every night of Ramadan, there is عُتَقَاء min al-nar. There are people are being freed from the hellfire forever. And that's every night in Ramadan. So what type of people these are, so that the person will make sure that he is among those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala freed them from the hellfire. And if a person get to know that, and this is unseen to us, what anything in this life concerns that person, if he is given the glad tidings that he is freed from the hellfire, right? Nothing is worth it in this life. So that means these are the deeds that we need to do following the way of the Prophet ﷺ. In it, of course, Laylatul Qadr, where the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this night is better than 1,000 nights, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that revealed the surah in Surah Al-Qadr. And if this is another way to look into the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan is all virtues, and every night, as we heard, is a virtuous night, and the day and so on, fulfilling the pillar of Islam, the reward of fasting, nothing is the like of it, especially when this is an obligation. But also, from the day one of Ramadan, even before that, the hearts are also attached to Laylatul Qadr. That if a person gains this night, as if he worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly for over 80 years. And you can imagine the regret in the Day of Judgment when people would waste that much reward just because of hours, few hours, especially when the night is very short this year. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. As the Prophet ﷺ said, شهر عيد لا ينقصان, 2 months of Eid are never less, the month of Ramadan and the month of the Hijjah. That means if the month of Ramadan is 29 days only, right? It is not less in reward if it's 30 days, right? If it's 29, the reward is full. A person might say because of knowing the rewards of Ramadan, if it would just be a 30-day, so that more ibadah and so on, the Prophet ﷺ said they are the same in rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So also the same thing when it comes to the nights when it's long or short. When it's winter time when the night is long, and a person, for him to be written for him that he prayed half of the night, it can be, for example, 5 hours or 6 hours. But in the summertime, for 2-3 hours, it will be written for him as if he prayed half of the night. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. So it's a month where it needs patience and struggle, and not to be lazy. Again, also in the month of Ramadan, this is definitely a sign of being deprived. Sins are being forgiven. It's one of the best times for the sins to be forgiven, and levels are being elevated for the believers. And many rewards and many actions, whether it's the fasting, the night prayer, the generosity, feeding others, and reciting Quran. Reciting Quran should be the main action after fulfilling, of course, the obligations and the things that the Prophet ﷺ used to do. There's nothing more prior than or priority other than the Quran to be filling our times with. So and this is authentically narrated from someone like Imam Shaykh Ibrahim. He used to have 60 khatma in Ramadan of the Quran. 60 times he would finish the Quran in Ramadan. And this is authentic, right? And some people say there's no way. The Prophet ﷺ forbid anyone to finish the Quran in less than 3 days. That's true. But as they say, this is in the normal way. But when days like virtues like this, right, then there is no harm. As some of the companions even would do that. As Uthman radiallahu anhu, he finished the whole Quran in the rak'ah of al-witr, in the haram, standing, making 1 rak'ah of witr, the whole Quran from the beginning to the end. And if they finish, it's feasible. If a person decides for like 12 hours continuous or 10 hours continuous, he finishes the Quran, right? So it's feasible, but who can have the strength, right? And this is by, we're not saying that we're supposed to do this, but they used to take advantage of every second of the time in Ramadan, and these are great ai*imma. They didn't say, let me just do what I'm supposed to be doing in matters of the ilm. They would seclude themselves to read Quran, to focus on the Quran. The same thing, Imam Malik rahimahullah, he would stop teaching the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in Ramadan, and he would focus on himself in the Quran. So this is a time where the focus should be more on oneself, and not to rely on talks and ilm and knowledge. This is a time where the person he works on himself with his own actions. And the biggest or the most important act is fasting. You cannot receive that from somebody. We have to do it ourselves. So, and when this is the most difficult, then everything else should be after that easy. So to endure the patience, to make sure that we perfect our fasting, and it's not just about abstaining from food and drink and desires, but also to abstain from sins, to abstain from anything that makes a person busy away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on. With some of the rulings of fasting, because learning this is also part of the deen, and part of giving importance to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Whoever exalts the sha'air, the rulings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is from the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have, for example, the condition for a person to fast. Of course, he has to be a Muslim. He has to be in the state of purity. He has to be in sound mind, not insane. He has to have the ability to fast, of course, and not having any condition. And he is not a traveler. And to be away from anything that might prevent the person from fasting. with the different rulings of this, of course. As for the pillars of fasting, and this is just a review, we have the niyyah, the intention, and to abstain from what breaks the fast. The intention is in the heart, there's nothing to be said with one's tongue whatsoever. And without getting into so much details, we need these intentions in every night of Ramadan. And the intentions is to be done at night. That means the person in his heart, he knows that the next day is Ramadan, that means he's fasting. He doesn't have to do anything, he doesn't have to say anything. He just needs to be awake during the night so that he will, inside of his heart, he know that this is the next day is Ramadan. And to abstain from what breaks the fast, which is something, of course, that needs to be taught, of course, and to get to know. The things, or the people, those who are excused from fasting, as you know, is the marid, the sick person, the traveling person, traveling in the distance that he can shorten the salah, then he has the permission to break the fast. The woman in the menses and after birth bleeding, she has to, of course, break her fast and she make up the day. The pregnant woman and the woman that is breastfeeding her child, she can break her fast, not fast, and then she can make up the days afterwards. If a person is in need to break his fast because of a necessity, if something emergency happened and so on, the matter is easy by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if somebody gets so tired and very thirsty, should he break his fast? Of course not. The person should be patient. But if he more certain that if he continues to fast, he will die, for example, then it's permissible that way. He's in the level of being a sick person. And things of that nature. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made it easy in matters of fasting. And this is how, with these exceptions and so on. The mufsidat, or the things that breaks the fast, just points. Eating and drinking, of course, anything that goes through the throat down, al-jima', sexual relations, of course. Inzal mani, ikhtiyari, a person would choose or intentionally have the seminal fluid to come out of himself, intentionally, whether it's by arousing himself or intentionally, which is a sinful act, of course, to be done, that breaks the fast, and it's a sinful act. The hijama, there are differences of opinion with regards to hijama, but to be away from that is to avoid it during the day of Ramadan. If a person intentionally throw up, this breaks the fast intentionally, not if he's overpowered. If he's intentionally throwing up because of a sickness or something, then that breaks the fast. He has to make up the day. The coming out of the menses blood or after birth bleeding, the intention of breaking the fast breaks the fast. If a person make a decision that he would break his fast, once he made that decision, then he has to make up his day. Whether he was traveling and he decided to eat. It doesn't matter whether he changed his mind afterwards or not. The intention is broken, that means this is one of the pillars of fasting, that means he has to make up the day. And وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ as well, they mentioned that when a person renegates from the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is actually what I wanted to speak about today, continuing from Mukhtasar Minhaj al-Qasidin. We talked yesterday about the shahwa, the desire of food and al-farj, or the private parts, and how to break this desire, and how to struggle with oneself, not to be having these things controlling us, following the way of the Prophet ﷺ. And these are the main two desires that can take the person into the sinful life and so on. But then after that he talks about afatul lisan, the sins with one's tongue, with talks and so on. And this is one of the things to be observed in Ramadan, which is forbidden at all times, but especially at Ramadan. There's some hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, as he said ﷺ, وَلَمْ يَدَعْ قَوْلَ الزُّورِ وَالْعَمَلَ بِهِ فَلَيْسَ لِلَّهِ حَاجَةٌ فِي أَنْ يَضَعَ طَعَامَهُ وَشَرَابَهُ. That if a person doesn't leave false speech and acting according to it in Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need for him to be away from food and drink. Because the purpose of fasting is to be a better person, is to be a good Muslim, is to abstain from what is haram, not just what is haram, to abstain from what is not perfect. Because if a person, the thing that we are away from in fasting, these are the necessities. If a person doesn't have it for some time, he will die. That means if a human being can stay away from food and drink from the Fajr to Maghrib, nothing of goodness in this life will be difficult for him by the will of Allah. So it's not just away from sins. No, even to perfect one's actions and one's speech and one's manners and everything. Because he would prove to himself that he can stay away from the necessities. So can't he stay away from what is evil and wicked and everything, and what is against being a perfected human being? Definitely it's easier. So this is a month of a person changing himself, and to enjoy that too, not just to change it, but to change and to have good expectations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what I would like for the next whatever is left, is to continue from the book of Minhaj al-Qasidin about Afat al-Lisan. Right, about Afat al-Lisan, and inshallah, Allah give us life. So after Ramadan we can talk about some of the etiquettes and the rulings and so on. So he says, the Afat al-Lisan. Afat al-Lisan, deficiencies of one's tongue, from Mukhtasar Minhaj al-Qasidin. He says that the bad things with one's tongue are many. And it has sweetness in the heart if a person stay away from it. And it has things that would get you to fall in it, part of our taba', part of our innate, or the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, that we tend to say bad things. This is something in ourselves. If you don't work on yourself, you will say bad things. And a word can take the person to the hellfire 70 years down, as the Prophet ﷺ said. A word. We know that a person can leave the fold of Islam by a word of kufr. He become a Muslim by a word of tongue. The munafiqeen, when some of them, they mocked the deen of Islam, just making fun. Right? They became disbelievers after they were believers. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said there in the Quran. لا تعتذروا قد كفرتم بعد إيمانكم. He said to them that do not apologize. You are now disbelievers after you have been believers. Why? Because they mocked the Prophet ﷺ. So it's a very dangerous organ of our body, that if a person can control it, then by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he can be among the successful ones. And one of the great opportunities in the month of Ramadan is to make sure that we're away from anything that is haram when it comes to vain talk, and even things that have no benefit whatsoever.